Hello everyone, this is Javamonk, and welcome to a showcase of a calculator made of redstone. So, check this out. This is an adding machine. So, if you wanted to add something like 5 is 4 plus 1. If we wanted to do 5 plus 3 is 2 plus 1. And 5 plus 3 equals 8. Cool, right? So this calculator is already pretty complicated. But you know what? It's too simple. So what I really have to showcase is this absolute beast of a contraption that does the exact same thing, only in a way more complicated way. That's right, a Rube-Goldberg machine that is also a calculator. So let's power this up. Let's calculate 5 plus 3 again. So here's how to input into this calculator. You need to know how to count in, but at least have a vague idea of binary. Binary it's basically counting to 10, but if you only had 2 fingers. The core idea really is that you just need to know how to add stuff. So, so the number 5 is a 4 plus 1, just as an example. You have to be able to add, you can't subtract. Now, this calculator can only handle up to 7 plus 7, so let's calculate 5 plus 7. So here's how this works. Each individual one of these stacks of lamps has their own little system to set it to a 1 or a 0. If it's a 0, it's not added. If it's a 1, it is added. So let's switch into survival, and let's power this. And actually, you're going to need a regeneration beacon while doing all this. So to activate this 1, you have black concrete, or black concrete powder. And you need to place this black concrete powder in a dark tunnel. There are 2 places you can put this concrete powder. If you put it at the top, then it counts as a 1. If you put it at the bottom, it counts as a 0. So perfect timing. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that counted as a 1. There we go. We have a 1 in the first column. The second column, you need a bow and an arrow. And you need to, as you're falling, you need to hit those target blocks down there. Looking in this direction, if you hit the target on the right, it counts as a 1. If you hit the target on the left, it counts as a 0. So let's try this. I am not very good at this. Okay, I think that counted. Let's find out. It did not. Honestly, I have more success with this shooting straight downwards. See? First try. Easy. Definitely. I'm so good at the bow. Okay, this third column, you need to deflect a skeleton's arrow using a shield. So if we just jump down here, there's 2 wooden pressure plates, one on the left, one on the right. If you deflect the arrow onto the pressure plate on the right, then it counts as a 1. And if you deflect it on the left, it counts as a 0. So let's try and deflect this arrow. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Got it. All right. And now we come back up this bubble column. And there we go. The first number we are adding is 5, aka 4 plus 1. The second number I want to add is 7, so each of these needs to be set to 1. This column right here, you actually need a Riptide 3 trident like this and launch yourself up. Whoa. And try not to miss. There we go. So what needs to happen is that this dispenser is going to drop some TNT onto and into this obsidian chamber, which is going to blow up some basalt. There's 2 basalt platforms, one on the bottom, one on the top. So you need to time this piston differently based on that. If you blow up the basalt on the bottom, it counts as a 1. If you blow up the basalt on the top, it counts as a 0. So let's try this out. And boop. Okay, looks like it blew up the one on the bottom. That's good. And that should have registered as a 1. Perfect. It's actually more difficult to register as a 0. And I got some basalt out of it. This next one requires a looting sword. And here we have a chamber of drown. The task here is to get either a trident or a nautilus shell. And when you get that item, drop it onto this carpet. If you drop a trident in, it counts as a 1. If you drop in a nautilus shell, it counts as a 0. I got a trident, so drop it in, it counts as a 1. Now, of course, if you want to build this in survival, if you ever want to do that, then you're going to need to pipe in some kind of drowned farm into this chamber here, but that's perfectly fine. This last part involves music discs, and that's why there's a shield to block the skeleton's arrow. Like that. So, just gotta spawn a couple creepers. I'm using a dispenser here to spawn the creepers because I didn't feel like building a mob farm. But if you really, again, if you wanted to build in survival, you could make like a creeper farm of some kind. Now, these creepers will drop music discs, and if you put chirp into the music disc, it counts as a 0. And if you put stall into the music disc, it counts as a 1. Hey, first try, got stall. Okay, and once you put this music disc in, the calculator is set, and you can basically just power it on and see what the answer is. Five plus 7. And calculate. Tank design inspired by Mumbo Jumbo. Well, like, stolen from Mumbo Jumbo. That registered a 2 into the answer. Now we know that the answer 5 plus 7 is 12, So we're still missing something. We're waiting on this little tiny magma cube to jump out of the cell, which it is able to do. It's just refusing to. Sometimes things do run a little slower than I want. There we go. Unfortunately, a lot of things in this Rube-Goldberg calculator kind of run simultaneously, so it's a little hard to figure out what's happening when. And there we go. This iron golem actually registers a 4 into the calculator. This sand registers an 8, which 8 plus 4 is 12. But now, it is time to get the answer to the calculator once we regenerate the health, because the answer is actually given in half hearts of damage. And now, to receive the answer, we just step in here and push the button. There we go. 6 hearts, aka 12 half hearts. The answer is 12. I will leave a world download in the description because this thing is quite complicated. But since this is a comprehensive video, I'm thinking I should do a showcase of all the different logic gates, because this calculator works entirely on logic gates. Most of the Rube-Goldberg elements are just kind of wires between the logic gates. In case you don't know what a logic gate is, a logic gate has 2 inputs or 1 input, and you get an output based on those inputs. So, for example, this is an OR gate. So if I turned on either of these 2 redstone lines, then it would allow this little magma cube to escape, and that would turn on this redstone torch. I can just demonstrate that like this. The magma cube would also be able to escape if both of these were turned on. And that's what makes this in particular an OR gate. Come on, magma cube. Jump out. You're free now. There it goes. And there we go. The output is on. Another OR gate in this Rube-Goldberg machine that is used involves a cactus. So if either of these 2 pistons turns on, it'll break the cactus, which makes the sand fall, which breaks the scaffolding, which makes this sand fall onto this redstone here. Just like this. And again, it doesn't matter if both pistons are turned on, because by the time that happens, the cactus is already broken. So those are the 2 OR gates in this calculator. Now, to make a calculator like that one work, you need 5 AND gates and 5 XOR gates. The XOR gates are the most complicated ones. So onto the AND gates. The AND gate, both inputs must be on in order for the output to be on. Now, this dispenser, when triggered, will spawn a Zoglin, or a Hoglin, that is then zombified. Now here's the thing. I can't use spawn eggs because this is a survival-friendly, well, maybe not friendly, but survival-possible Rube-Goldberg machine. So the way I have the Zoglin show up is an item comes through a dropper. Actually, a sheep is sheared. The wool is transported into the nether. It lands in here, and then a Hoglin over here is sent through this nether portal. Wait, not that nether portal. This nether portal is actually activated first, and then it's broken as soon as the Hoglin comes through, and a spider is also released through here. So let's see if that Zoglin has zombified yet. It despawned. Great. Yeah, let's just spawn a Zoglin. There we go. So the first input spawns a Zoglin. The second input releases the spider. And now the only way for this output to be on is if the Zoglin or the spider kill each other and drop an item. Which should have happened. That's weird. Let's just assume that happened. There we go. Zoglin killed the spider, an item was dropped. This AND gate works similarly. One input releases a bunch of husks, and the other input spawns an iron golem. And the iron golem's just gotta kill the husks, or the other way around, to get an output right here. This magma cube cage is kind of a bigger version of the smaller magma cube cage. The difference here is that both of these piston contraptions need to be, basically the entire ceiling has to be removed in order for this large magma cube to be able to escape. And there we go. This one also works somewhat similarly. Well, this one spawns a snow golem. So this piston brings in a snow block. This one plops in a carved pumpkin, and output is on when the full snow golem is spawned. Now here also we have a Johnny Vindicator and a Zoglin. So one input allows the Zoglin in, the other input allows Johnny the Vindicator to traverse the place. And when both are allowed in, then an item is dropped and an output is achieved. Onto the XOR gates, which are significantly more complicated. So an XOR gate is one where if either input is on, then the output is on, but if both inputs are on, then the output is off. And the output is also off if neither input is on. So the way this one works is it drops TNT into this chamber of bees, or chamber of beehives. And actually, that's an older version because bees are an absolute pain to work with. So if one set of dispensers is activated, it just destroys the beehives. The bees are released, and they all swim into here, activating this tripwire, which counts as the output. Now the thing is, since the output of this XOR gate is also registering whether or not the answer has a 1 in it, then these bees then have to traverse this glass pathway, going through all these flowers, and all the way over here, and eventually registering as a 1. This thing is an absolute pain to... This part right here takes absolutely forever, which is why I didn't do that in the showcase. Now, if both of these dispensers are activated, then one set will destroy the beehives, And the second set will kill the bees. So no bees will come through. The output is off. Now this XOR gate involves an armor stand, and this one actually has to be activated at exactly the same. Both inputs have to be activated at exactly the same time. So let me just do something like this. So the way this works is if one input is, and also need to place a redstone block on top of this. There's a lot of safety mechanisms in this one because this gate is hypersensitive to anything. So if one input is turned on, then this contraption will push the armor stand onto the pressure plate. And if the second input turns on, then this machine will activate again and push the armor stand off the pressure plate. And the output is only on if that armor stand stays on the pressure plate. So you can see that if I activate both at once, then it doesn't activate the output. This one also has to be activated at exactly the same time. So one input dispenses water onto the blaze, which will kill it, and when the blaze dies, the output is on. The other input will suffocate the blaze instead. But if the water is turned on, then this sticky piston is activated. And what that does is that if both inputs are on, then this block gets extended into the blaze, and then this comes around and pulls the block away from the blaze, thus saving it from being suffocated. Which you can see like that. It's very fast. And also the dispenser doesn't get to dispense its water because there was a block in the way. But I guess activating it twice does actually activate. And this one uses a strider, and it does exactly the same thing. So I can showcase just one, what happens when only one is activated. So if only, say, the water is activated, what happened to the water? That's weird. Okay. The water will dispense, which striders and blazes take damage from water. And once it dies, the output is turned on. Just like that. So this XOR gate is also hypersensitive to anything. The way it works is that one input will dispense an arrow onto a target block, and the other input will spawn a snow golem. Now, the arrows activate enough times to be able to kill the snow golem if there's a snow golem in there. What that does is that basically if the snow golem spawns, it activates the output for long enough to it activates this long enough to actually activate. If the arrows are fired, then it activates this target block enough to power the output. But if the snow golem spawns and the arrows are dispensed, then the snow golem will die of the arrows. Kind of like, let's use an observer for this. Kind of like this. It is very fast. So there we go. That is all the logic gates and all the systems behind this Rube-Goldberg machine. And everything else is just transporting the signal around, which is done through stuff like a composter creates bone meal, which launches pumpkin pies up into the next composter. You got stuff like that. You also have the tank, and you also have the sand and the bees, which activate different inputs Might as well also activate all the damaging mechanisms so that you can see them all at work. So to give one damage, it just suffocates. To give 2 damage, you got to activate this and then go into here, which drowns the player. Just enough to deal 1 full heart of damage. Hopefully this actually works. There we go. And the water disappears just before you drown anymore. To give 4 damage, lava is briefly dispensed. And that gives out 2 full hearts of damage. And then to deal 8 damage, or 4 full hearts of damage, an anvil is dropped from a certain height. It's a shame that you don't get the clang sound effect from that. But yeah, this is one gigantic contraption that just deals damage. So there we go. That is my Rube-Goldberg calculator. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.